Greetings and welcome to the Transform Podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Anastasio, and welcome to episode 96 of the podcast. It is Friday, October 28th, 2022, and once again, welcome guys. So once again, only able to get you one episode this week. I think that's probably going to be maybe more the norm as we wrap up the year. Got some travel coming up in November. This half of the team in the United States and the other half from Asia will have a chance to join up for a little bit. You guys can check out one of the previous episodes that I did here about the team being in Phoenix for the CPA conference there. I believe it's November 8th and 9th. So if you guys are in that industry and you're going to be out there in Phoenix, you can meet some members of our team in Asia. And for me personally, the week after that, we'll be with members of the Asia team in Connecticut at the Foxwoods Casino for another conference, which we'll talk more about on a future podcast. So we got a lot going on. We're headed towards 100 episodes. We're excited about that. Definitely want you guys to be part of that. Please, keep checking back in, guys. We're going to try to publish as much as we can. Would like to get you 2 episodes per week, but right now it's probably more like 1. So all that being said, guys, I want to jump right into the topic of the day for this podcast. And there were a few ways we could go with this today. Big news this week from Facebook. Big news today, or really breaking yesterday into today. Elon Musk completing his takeover of Twitter. That could have been a topic of the podcast today. Also, some very big numbers coming out of LinkedIn this week on engagement rates and things of that nature. So there's a lot of ways we could have gone with this today, but I wanted to focus on the Facebook news that kind of broke on Wednesday the 26th, so a couple days ago. And just looking at a headline from social media today, it said Meta reports increasing costs, lower ad revenue in Q3 performance update. Now, if you guys follow social media today or you want to look up that article, you can check that out with that headline or some elements of that headline. But really a very damning, eye-opening assessment of where Meta stands at this point. Of course, Meta, the collection of apps, Facebook, Instagram, etc., really not looking good for Meta right now. And, of some of the things I wanted to cite for you guys from this article, one thing that really, really, really jumped out was that the company has lost 2/3 of its value since last September. So year over year, and that was before the latest earnings sunk in, that their earnings report sunk in. So who knows where it's headed? But in the last 12 months, up to that earnings report, this company has been cut down by 2/3 value. An incredible steep decline. That presents Meta and Mark Zuckerberg with incredible challenges going forward. I want to do 2 things in this podcast, keep it economical. I wanted to cite some of these statistics and sort of situations, I guess you could say, with Meta, so you get a sense of the gravity, and then go more into what it means for you guys. So a couple metrics that stood out here. Facebook actually increased its number of daily active users to 1.98 billion. That was an increase of 16 million from the last report. But most of the growth was coming from Asia Pacific region and other areas in the world, which just from a dollar figure perspective is not as lucrative for the company. So it just didn't lift the bottom line as much as growth that occurs in the US and Europe. And you can ascribe that to whatever, but the point is it just didn't really move the bottom line for them. Very encouraging that Facebook has seen more growth in India and Indonesia. I think personally that's going to be a positive for the company down the road. But usage, expenditure in those regions has to also accumulate over time for it to help Facebook and Meta recover. Daily active user growth in the US and Europe was just flat out flatlined, and it just isn't seeming to budge. So that's not a good sign for Facebook and for Meta. Another thing I want to cite to you guys here, which is kind of interesting on the flip side, is that Facebook usage is hanging in there at about 3 billion per day. So you have, the total user count that's active on a daily basis is 3 billion, and that's pretty significant, and it hasn't moved much. So that's the bright side. Okay, that's the bright side. But the question is, how long are they staying there? And Meta doesn't report that. So we don't know what people are doing or how long they're doing it once they get there. Now, another thing that jumped out was Meta's revenue numbers. They brought in $27 billion in change for the quarter. Sounds like a lot, but it was a 4% decrease year over year. So, of course, everybody points to the data privacy situation, not being able to run ads the way people used to, smartphones blocking those ads, that sort of thing. So, I'm sure that's the reason. That's the main reason cited in this article. An interesting note that Meta pointed out is that is straight from Meta. Quote, had foreign exchange rates remained constant with the third quarter of 2021, revenue would have been $1.79 billion higher. So that's kind of an interesting factor outside of the whole data privacy thing that actually would have helped Facebook if you had more stability in that regard. So that was kind of interesting. Let's see. So Meta's investment in its expensive metaverse vision, costs have risen 19% year over year to over $22 billion. And its Reality Labs VR department has seen declining sales and revenue intake. So it's headed in the wrong direction. And it peaked last Q4 because of people buying the Quest headset, like for the Christmas holiday and so forth, but it's only gone downhill since then. So the operating losses are projected to go up, and this VR investment, this metaverse investment, just isn't looking like it's going to pay off anytime soon. It looks very bleak. So there's been pressure on Zuckerberg to address this, to cap VR expenditures, to basically rein it in and not keep it as open-ended as it has been. And Meta itself has said that, the metaverse, the whole VR, AR situation could be a decade away. And as Social Media Today raised in this article, the question is everybody going to hang in there investing in this company for, over the next decade as it continues to suffer these kinds of financial losses? So I wanted to use that to set the stage. You guys may not be very interested in that. It might be like, hey, who cares, Chris? Why are you telling us this? Here's the deal, guys. This is what this means to you. What this means to you is Facebook is going to start growing desperate. And this goes to, I think, several episodes back, maybe even 10 or so episodes back, I was talking about some remarks I heard Gary Vee make about, how his team had moved Facebook up the chain in terms of posting content and really focusing there. They demoted Instagram. I don't know if you guys remember that episode, if you heard that one. They had demoted Instagram, but they promoted Facebook. They promoted TikTok. They promoted YouTube Shorts. And, this is kind of what Gary was talking about. Facebook, Meta, whatever you want to call them, they are in real trouble. They need people to come to the app and spend time there. They need to give people a reason to come to the app and spend time there. And they need especially to give content creators, people who want to use the app for publication purposes, business purposes, messaging purposes, reach purposes, they have to draw them back in. And so what I would say to you guys is, if you don't have a Facebook presence, get one. If you have a Facebook presence, start pumping content into it as much as humanly possible. I would say if you can get away with it, get something up there at least once a day, every day. Facebook is going to start, and it already has. I mean, when Gary was talking about this, he was already feeling like this was happening. But Facebook has to give reason to businesses like yourself, people who have the business page aspect of Facebook, who want to publish content there, who want to see it, reach people without having to spend money, without having to boost every post, without having to run ads. They have to bring those people back, and they have to get those people to stay there, to use the app. And so I think after Facebook's heyday of paid ads that began back in the early 2010s, I think maybe it was around 2012, if I have that correct, that just ran all the way up until about 2020-ish, It's over now. And now we go back to late 2000s, maybe very early 2010s Facebook, where putting up a business page on top of your personal profile, publishing content, organic, free content, could actually reach people, could actually be seen in people's feeds. And that is where we are going. That is where you need to move towards as this shift takes place. Meta's not going to dig out of this hole I just described, all these metrics I mentioned to you. They're not going to dig out of that hole anytime soon. That is going to go on for some time. And Zuckerberg has proven in the past that he's a very ingenious individual. Perhaps he can turn this around. Perhaps he has the grand vision set, beautifully in his head, and he's going to follow through with it, and it's all going to work out. But Facebook is headed into a deep valley. Let me repeat that. Facebook is headed into a deep valley. Take advantage of it. Use the platform. I would try everything on there. I mean, I'm being serious. I know it's not as focused as maybe I like to be usually. I would try everything. I'd be posting long-form textual content. You can go pretty long on Facebook. You can write a pretty good missive on Facebook. So if you have blog posts, if you like to work in text, if you like to create articles, if you like to pump content out that way, put that text up there. Maybe you can attach an image to it or something else that, kind of livens it up a little bit, but put the text up. Okay. Pump video into Facebook Watch. Okay, just pump video in there. Now, if you're making videos, 3+, 5+ minutes, definitely put them on Facebook. They go into Facebook Watch. It's basically like a pseudo YouTube channel that you kind of have going there. But if you're going shorter, if you're in the snack size content range, 1 minute, 2 minutes kind of thing, put it up there, get it onto Facebook stories, get it onto, carry it over to Instagram Reels, pump it over there. Just get stuff up on the app and experiment. Try different things. Use images. If you have a podcast, post all your podcast episodes up there. Maybe transcribe them, put them in as text, then put a link to the podcast episode. Attach that to the post, and just keep trying things and see if you start getting some reach organically. I think you're going to see results over time. I think you're going to really see the needle start to move. And I think it's the only way Meta and Facebook can go at this point. They have to create value on this app for people. After a quarter performance like they just had for third quarter, they're in bad shape. And they have to do something about it. And I think it's going to have to be drastic. And I think it's going to have to be noticeable. So I don't want to belabor the point. We'll talk more in the future about maybe very specific tactical strategies you guys can use on Facebook. We'll maybe go into more detail on those things. But this was just really a clarion call to you guys after I digested that article from Wednesday. This is a clarion call to you guys to say, hey, if I'm not on Facebook, I need to get there. If I am there, I need to pay a lot of attention to it. I need to create content that I believe can work on Facebook, that, if I want to repurpose elsewhere, that's fine. But I want to start with Facebook in mind and create content native and contextual to that app. Try it out, see what's working. If it's working, keep doing more of it, and then go from there. If it's not working, mix it up with other things, try lots of different things there, and see what brings you some results. So if you guys want to have a free consultation, if you want to talk about your Facebook strategy, we'd love to do that with you. You can reach us on LinkedIn and Facebook under Transform, or you can go to the website, transform.com, and sign up for free consultation there, social media audit, that sort of thing. And of course, as always, wouldn't be a podcast episode without a plug for the podcast. So please follow us here, listen in, check back with us. Like I said, we usually like to get you 2 episodes a week. Lately, it's been more like once a week. But we are dedicated to getting you fresh content every week here to help move you along in your marketing and digital social media strategies. Okay, guys? So hope everybody's had a great week. That's Friday. Weekend's upon us as we close out another month and head towards the end of the year and into November. But we really appreciate your guys' support. Really appreciate you guys checking in here with us on the podcast. We will see you next week with at least episode 97. And in the meantime, I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.